They start marching above my ceiling at 2:17 exactly. I know the time, because the red digits on the plastic clock by my bed click over, and the first heel comes down just as the 7 changes. One boot, then another, rubber soles. No, hard leather, hobnailed, biting into wood that isn't there. Slow at first, a testing tread. Then a whole file picks up behind the first man, and the ceiling shade trembles on its hook. There is no flat above mine. The nurse on nights, Kelly, told me that yesterday. Top floor, Mr. Mullen. Roof space only. Just you and the pigeons, she said, and left, like she'd never heard hobnails. She doesn't hear it now. The regular beat of boots in step, 12 to the section, 3 paces to the yard. B company cadence, same as in 44. I count without thinking. My tongue touches the bad tooth when the sergeant's step hits. Slight drag, left leg, exactly like before. The water glass on my bedside table shivers. The surface ripples. The light from the corridor seeps in under the door in a thin strip. It's steady. No one is walking outside. All the weight is above me, overhead, traveling from the window toward the door, as if there was a corridor up there, as if the plaster and air were parquet flooring under an invisible company. Same route they took the night. I sent them upstairs and went down. I press my palm flat on my chest to feel my heart. It is going too fast. It always does when they start. I reach for the call button, then stop halfway. Kelly came last week when I tried that. She switched on all the lights and took my pulse and said there was no one, nothing, just the wind on the roof. She didn't feel the dust falling on her hair, the same fine grit that coated our tongues when the first shell hit the barracks roof. Now, as the boots pass over, a thin sprinkle of white comes down from the crack in the corner where the ceiling never quite meets the wall. It drifts like early snow, like plaster shaken loose by blast. It lands on the back of my hand. I rub it between finger and thumb. Fine, chalky, like brick dust. They are heading for the door again. Same route, same count. They always stop just above the frame. The day those steps don't stop, I know they'll finally have found the man who told them it was safe to sleep upstairs. 3 platoon, I whisper, before I can stop myself. My voice sounds like paper scraping on stone. I see McBride's face in the open doorway opposite, the way it looked the last time they passed. Young, freckled, awake when he should have been dead. He lifts 2 fingers to the rim of his helmet and gives me a tiny salute. Then he turns and follows the sound out over open air. The lamp on my bedside table flickers. Somewhere down the corridor, a kettle clicks off. The boots stop right above the doorway and turn as one, as if on parade. Silence, for half a breath. Then one more step, straight ahead, into nothing. The whole ceiling gives a tired sigh. The dust comes down in a sheet. No cry, no shout, no impact. Just the sound of boots, walking on thin air. I reach for the drawer slowly. The joints in my fingers grind. The handle is smooth from years of touching. Inside, under the folded pajama top they gave me, is the maroon beret. The badge is tarnished black around the wings. I keep it wrapped in an old handkerchief so the nurses won't take it for decluttering. My thumb finds the badge through the cloth. The metal is cold. For a moment, the boots above stop. Then they start again, faint now, retreating, as if whoever leads them is listening at the same time as marching, weighing distance, measuring. I could ring the bell. I could shout. Instead, I push the drawer closed with the heel of my hand and turn my head toward the dark square of the window. Somewhere out there, beyond the orange smear of the estate lights and the flat black of the night, is a river with a broken bridge. I can still smell the creosote on the timbers. I can still see the gap. They started with the footsteps the first night in Arnhem too. We're on the DZ. When I first hear the story, we have just come down near Rankham, parachutes snagging in the heather and the little pines, white silk collapsing around us like ghosts that can't be bothered to stand. The Dakota's engine is already a fading drone. My chute is half in a ditch, and I'm hauling on the shrouds, swearing under my breath. when Sergeant Hargreaves lands 10 yards away with all the grace of a dropped wardrobe. He hits the ground, rolls somehow, and comes up grinning, helmet askew, Sten hanging from his neck. "On your feet, Art," he says, brushing dirt off his knees with big flat hands. "Jerry's not going to wait while you pick flowers." "I'm untangling," I tell him, fighting with the harness buckle. "Bloody things married me." He steps forward, kicks the buckle once with the toe of his boot, and it lets go. That's Hargreaves all over, big and blunt and lucky. He's got a dent in the front of his helmet where an Italian bit him with a shovel, and he touches it whenever someone mentions odds. "See," he says, "you just have to be firm with these modern contraptions." He offers me a hand. He doesn't wait for me to take it. He just grabs the front of my smock and hauls me up. The air is full of shouting. Men calling for their sticks, for their mates. A jeep clatters somewhere off to the right, dropped on a crate, gearbox, protesting. The white canopies flap and sag in the scrub. Beyond the line of the woods, dark and neat, and beyond that, if the maps are right, Arnhem itself, and the bridge with our name on it. "Radio," he says. I pat my back. The 18 set is there, in its canvas pack, a solid, familiar weight. The aerial is folded down, taped. "Alive," I say. "Good," he answers. "Means when this goes tits up, we can at least complain about it properly." He claps me once on the shoulder, hard enough to jolt my teeth, then turns and bellows for his section. 3 section, on me. "Marsh, you've got the Brin. Jock, stop chatting up the locals and get your arse in gear." There is a line of Dutch civilians at the fence, watching us come down. Old men, women, children. A boy with a bicycle too big for him leans forward, eyes bright. A girl with a scarf around her hair holds a bunch of flowers in both hands, like she's not sure yet whether we're worth them. Jock McCoon is already there, of course, grinning at her, shameless. He's short, thick through the shoulders, face like it's been carved out of sandstone. He has a habit of humming under his breath when he's nervous. Right now, it's some Scottish thing I don't recognize. He takes the flowers from the girl with a little bow. "Thank you kindly, lass," he says in his soft Glasgow drawl. "We'll drop them on Jerry's head for you." She laughs. She's missing one front tooth. The older woman beside her does not laugh. She presses her fingers together, knuckles whitening, watching us with eyes that have already seen too much. Hargreaves joins them, switching to his slow, careful French that he thinks works on Dutch as well. "Germans," he says, pointing east. "Prussians, Hun, Bosch." He makes a little goose-step motion with his hand. The old man with the cap coughs, spits to one side, and answers in halting English instead. "Germans everywhere," he says. "But, bridge." He gestures with his cane, tapping the air, not the ground. "Bridge not safe. Not at night. We're not waiting till night," Hargreaves says. "We'll be over before Jerry knows we're here." The old man shakes his head slowly. His hand trembles on the cane. "Not them," he says. "Others. When war comes, you hear them, always. Marching up there." He lifts his cane higher, taps it in the empty space above the ditch, just at shoulder height. The wood swishes through nothing. "Old soldiers," he says. "Spanish, French, Germans from other war. They come on the air. They march where there is no road. If you follow, you do not come back." Jock snorts. "Ghosts," he says. "We've got enough live bastards to be getting on with." The boy with the bicycle says something in quick Dutch. The girl with the scarf nods, eyes serious now, not laughing. She points toward the river, toward Arnhem Bridge. She says, "They march there when." She searches for a word. "When big trouble." The old woman reaches out and pulls her arm down sharply. "Enough," she tells her, in their own language. The breeze lifts for a moment and carries the smell of the fields, damp and green, and under it something else. Faint, like creosote and river mud. My fingers find the little bakelite earpiece dangling on my chest. It's habit now. Whenever someone mentions bad omens, I touch the radio as if making sure the lifeline is still there. You hear marching in the sky. Art, Marsh mutters beside me. You let me know. Yeah. I'll set the Bren up on the clouds. He grins. His teeth are too big for his thin face. He chews gum constantly. Says it keeps the fear down. He produces a fresh stick now and snaps it in half. Offers me one. I take it. My mouth is dry. Behind us, another Dakota drones so low we can see the faces at its windows. Men lean out, waving. Someone holds up a sign scribbled on a bit of card. See you in Arnhem. Hargreaves sees it and shakes his head. Cocky bastards, he says. All right, lads, pack up the silk. Get in line. We've got a date with a bridge, and Jerry's invited. We start moving. The Dutch fall in on either side of the track, chattering, patting shoulders, offering cigarettes. A woman thrusts a small paper bag into my hand. Inside are sugar cubes. Real sugar. I haven't seen that much in one place since England. She touches my sleeve, points to the bag, then to her eyes, then makes a motion of closing them, like sleep. For later, she says, when you not sleep. I nod, folding the bag carefully and tucking it into my breast pocket. Thank you, I say. Do not follow them, she whispers suddenly, so low I almost miss it. Even if you hear, they are not for you. Who? I ask. She glances up at the sky, then away toward the river. You will know, she says. We march all afternoon. The sun is mild, the hedges neat, the houses tidy and small, with red roofs and flowers in the windows. Children run alongside with flags. Old men salute, fingers trembling at the brim of caps. We march through it like a picture postcard, boots thudding the same rhythm into the road. It should feel like a parade. It doesn't. There is an edge under everything. Every time we pass an alley, someone flinches. Every time a dog barks, 10 heads turn. Somewhere far off, a single gun thumps once, and then again, slow and deliberate, like it's marking time. In the distance, low and constant, the artillery from the other side of the Rhine grumbles like a stomach. We're late, Marsh says quietly, glancing up at the sky where the sun already tilts toward afternoon. We were supposed to be on that bloody bridge by now. Timetables are for trains. Hargreaves answers from the front. We'll get there when we get there. We don't. We get as far as the outskirts before the first real trouble. It comes in the shape of a German staff car lying on its side at a crossroads, wheels spinning slowly. Smoke spills from under the bonnet. There are bodies nearby, German uniforms twisted, faces turned up to the sky. One of our Piat men stands in the ditch, reloading, face calm. Roadblock, he says, as if explaining the weather. Then the machine gun opens up from the farmhouse, sly and flat, eating the hedge beside us in a shower of leaves and splinters. Down, someone yells. Fire positions. Marsh, get that bloody Bren up. We dive into the ditch. Mud splashes. The radio pack digs into my spine. Above the chatter of the MG, I hear the clean individual cracks of our rifles answering, the harsher stutter of the Bren when Marsh finds his line of fire. The air reeks of cordite and crushed greenery. A bullet snaps past my ear, close enough to make it ring. Signal, Hargreaves shouts, crawling along the ditch, toward me, mud on his face. Get me through to Battalion. Tell them we're held up at, Christ, where are we? At the bloody T-junction with the dead pig in the cart. That's where. I drag the set off my back, fingers already moving on the dials. The little valve hum builds slowly, stubbornly. I press the earphone in and speak into the hand mic, voice steady out of habit, not courage. Sunray, this is Sunray 2, over, static. Then a voice, crackling, distant. Sunray 2, send, over. I talk fast. Positions, contact, resistance heavier than expected. The words are coded, but the meaning is simple. We are stuck, and the clock is ticking. Round smack into the road above the ditch in little puffs of dust. Somewhere to our left, someone screams high and thin, then gurgles and stops. Marsh curses. The Bren rattles. then stops for a heartbeat. "Jam," he shouts. I see Jock's helmet lift. Look, his mouth tightening. "I've got it," he calls, scrambling toward Marsh, keeping low. Jock always goes toward trouble. He carries a small silver St. Christopher medal under his tunic, says his mum sent it. He fingers it before every fight. I see his hand go there briefly now. It doesn't seem to help. The Bren coughs back into life. The German gun stutters, then falls silent. Hargreaves bellows forward. "Clear that building." We go. We don't think about the bridge. We think about the next hedge, the next doorway, the next shadow. The daylight shrinks faster than the map says it should. By the time we push the opposition back, the sun is bleeding down behind the roofs. The long shadows of the houses stretch across the road like bars. "We'll never reach the bridge before dark at this rate," Marsh says, breathing hard, sweat streaking the dirt on his face. "Then we dig in where we are," Hargreaves answers. "Jerry's not going to roll out a red carpet for us. We take it step by step. We end up in a pair of tall brick houses on a street with a name I can't pronounce. Dutch letters painted neatly on a sign at the corner. Utrechtzoek something. Civilians have mostly gone. The few who remain hand over keys and mutter prayers in doorways. We move through their rooms, past photographs on mantels, plates stacked in cupboards, the faint smell of furniture polish and boiled potatoes. "This'll do," Hargreaves says, looking at the staircases, the windows. "Good fields of fire. Art, set the radio up on the top floor. Marsh, Bryn, on that landing. If Jerry wants to come through, he can pay for the privilege. The top floor is half wrecked. A shell or something heavier has taken out a corner. There's a hole where the roof should be. You can see the sky, purple-gray now, through broken rafters. Someone's bedroom was up here once. There's a wardrobe with the door hanging off, dresses still on hangers. A bed with the mattress ripped open, stuffing spilling out like guts. I set the set down on a solid patch of floor and extend the aerial, threading it out through a surviving slat. The valves glow dim orange in the guts of the thing. The hum is low and constant, like a cat purring under the gunfire outside. Marsh comes up and flops down against the wall, Bryn across his knees. He digs out his packet of gum and offers it around. Jock takes one, chews noisily. "Quite the holiday, eh, Art?" Marsh says. "Sunny Holland," they said. "Friendly locals," they said. "Short walk to the river. We're moving in the morning," I answer. Because that's what we've been told, and because saying it out loud makes it sound more likely. Jock taps ash off the cigarette. He's bummed off someone. He says. "We'll be having breakfast on that bloody bridge. Sausages, bacon, phantom Germans marching on clouds overhead." Marsh grins. "Ghosts," he says, stretching the word. "You believe in that Dutch shite, Jock?" Jock shrugs. "I believe in Jerry," he says. "I believe in bullets. I believe in the St. Christopher my mom sent. He's seen me through so far. If he's got some old Spaniard pals marching about in the sky, that's his business." He taps his chest where the metal is. The metal there is warm from his skin. "They said the same before Casino," he mutters, more to himself than to us. "Old lads, marching where they shouldn't. Folk heard them at night, going up into the hills. Next day, there'd be bodies where there shouldn't." Marsh makes a face. "Cheers, mate," he says. "That's a comforting bedtime story." "Just saying," Jock answers. I listen with half an ear, the other pressed to the earpiece, waiting for Battalion. The house creaks. Somewhere below, a pipe bangs. Someone laughs too loudly, the sound brittle. The smells layer over each other. Dust, cordite, sweat, the faint lingering perfume on the dresses in the half-hanging wardrobe. Then I hear it. Not from below, not from the stairs, from above. It starts with one heavy step, directly over my head, where there is nothing but open air and broken rafters. The sound is clear, sharp, the heel biting and rolling to the toe. Then another, exactly paced. Then another. Jock stops mid-sentence. The cigarette hangs from his lip, forgotten. "You hear that?" Marsh whispers. More boots now. A whole file. marching in perfect unison, crossing the room overhead that doesn't exist. They move from the broken corner toward the intact wall, but there is no floor there. The shell took it. I saw the sky. Dust sifts down in a faint veil, hanging in the lantern light. The timbers do not move. There is no weight anywhere except in the sound, and the sound is solid enough to feel in your teeth. Could be pigeons, Marsh says quickly. Too quickly. Big bloody pigeons, Jock mutters. The steps pass over us, and continue, straight toward the far wall. They do not pause. They do not falter. When they reach the brick, they keep going, the noise passing through as if the wall is smoke. I scramble to my feet without realizing I'm moving. I step toward the broken corner and look up. The sky is there, darkening, a strip of bruised blue. No boards, no beams where the sound came from. Just empty air between the jagged rafters. The boots keep marching somewhere I can't see, out over the street, out over the gap between this house and the next. Below, in the road, someone shouts. A rifle fires once, then 3 times. A distant voice in German barks an order. Jock stands too, the cigarette dropping from his fingers. He stares up, eyes following nothing. Christ, Marsh whispers. Maybe the old man was taking the piss. Maybe this is the Dutch national joke. Yeah. Parachute in the English. Knock on the ceiling. Watch them shit themselves. No one laughs. The boots halt abruptly. One more stamp, as if coming to attention, then nothing. The silence they leave behind is stranger than the noise. For a long moment, none of us speaks. The handset is slick in my palm. Then the radio crackles. Sunray 2. Report. Over. I blink, drag my head back down to the set. Sunray, we're secure in position, I say, mouth on automatic. No movement advancing our front yet. We had something overhead. Possibly enemy movement on roofs, over rooftops. The voice on the other end repeats. Last I checked, Jerry hadn't learned to fly, son. Keep your eyes open. Out. The line goes dead. The valves hum on my heart, picks up where the boots left off. That first night, no one mentions ghosts. We talk about German patrols, about footsteps over tiles. We talk about tricks of sound in these tall, narrow houses. We talk about pigeons. We do not talk about men walking on air. The second time, we're not so sure. It is a day later, maybe 2. Time is already smearing. We have pushed, fallen back, pushed again. The tidy Dutch streets are clogged with wrecks and rubble, smoke hanging low. The bridge is still not ours. We are closer, they say, but closer feels like a word on a map, not a thing under your boots. We are moving through a different house now, nearer the river. This one used to be a doctor's place. There are smashed cabinets, broken bottles, the sharp, ghostly scent of spilled disinfectant over the heavier stink of blood and burned insulation. A piano has been pushed against a window as makeshift cover. One of the lads uses its keys as a shelf for his tea mug. Now and then, a stray bullet hits the wall outside, and the strings inside twang once in complaint, ghost music. Hargreaves sends me and Marsh up to the attic to string more wire for the set. The ladder is narrow, the wood worn. My shoulders brush the walls on the way up. The air grows hotter, more stale, with each rung. The attic is low and long, dust hanging in the shafts of light from the little dormer windows. Someone stored trunks up here once. They're broken open now, clothes spilling out. Children's toys lie scattered, a wooden train, a stuffed rabbit missing an eye. Marsh picks up the rabbit, turns it over. Cheerful, this, he says. I ignore him, threading the cable along the beams, trying not to think about how far the drop is between them. The plaster between joists has fallen away in places, exposing the lath. Through one gap, I can see down into the room below, where Jock is cleaning the Bren with a concentration that borders on reverence. You're going to wear that thing out, rubbing it like that, Marsh calls down. Better worn than jammed, Jock answers without looking up. The first step comes from the far end of the attic, behind the stacks of trunks. This time I feel it through my boots, as well as hear it. The beam under my soul gives a tiny shiver. Dust trickles from the rafters. It is heavier than before, slower, like someone carrying kit. I straighten slowly, hand tightening on the cable. "Marsh," I say. He has already heard. His gum stops moving. His eyes track toward the dark end of the space. There is no one there. Just shadow and broken furniture and the old, faded wallpaper of the gable wall. The second step lands closer, then another and another, each exactly paced. There is the faint rattle of equipment that no one has worn in 50 years. Canteens, webbing, a metal buckle brushing cloth. "It's above us," Marsh whispers. "No," I say. "It's on the beam, same as us." The steps come on, straight down the center, as if along a line none of us can see. They pass between us and keep going. The wooden train trembles on the floorboards as they go by. The stuffed rabbit rolls onto its side. A tiny, old glass bottle on a beam topples and falls. We both flinch as it drops, expecting a crash. It never hits. The sound of its fall just stops, halfway down, as if something caught it, or as if the world is missing a piece at that point. The boots cross the gap where the plaster is gone with no change in sound, no shift, no stumble. They walk over open air, then down toward the far window. When they reach it, they turn neatly 90 degrees and march straight through the wall. My mouth is dry. I can taste dust and old smoke. "Maybe they built something here once," Marsh says hoarsely. "A walkway, eh? I don't know. Maybe we're hearing echo from the street. Sound does funny things in these houses." We both know he's lying, to me and to himself. From below, Jock calls up. "You two pack of fairies coming down anytime soon? Or are you eloping with the ghosts?" His voice is normal. He hasn't heard this time. "Almost done," I shout back. "Just finishing up." I force my hands to move. The cable finds its place. The set comes alive again downstairs, voice after voice beating against the static, each one a thread of the big mess we're in. That night, when I try to sleep, I lie on a mattress on the floor with the ceiling 2 feet above my face. Every creak makes me flinch. At some point, I doze. I wake 2 boots again. Only this time, they are not marching. They are running. They hammer overhead in a full tilt sprint, dozens of them, in perfect step. The whole ceiling shudders like canvas in wind. Plaster dust rains. Someone yells downstairs. The Bren opens up in short controlled bursts. I grab for my helmet, heart in my throat, and roll out of the mattress. The boots reach the far wall and don't slow. The sound leaves the building at a dead run, out above the street. A second later, the heavy crump of an explosion shakes the foundations, and the windows blow in. The platoon that had been moving up behind us, in the open, catches the shell full on. We find them in the morning, or what's left. Bodies torn, weapons twisted, webbing shredded. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time, the officers say later. Miscommunication, bad luck, fog of war. I remember the running boots overhead, the way they passed through brick like it was fog, and the shell that landed exactly under where they would have been if they were flesh. "Art," Hargreaves says quietly, standing over one of the lads. A boy called Stokes, who used to keep a photograph of a dog tucked in his helmet. The dog's picture lies face down in the mud. "Don't think about it." "I'm not," I answer. "I am." We hear the footsteps most nights after that, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, sometimes just a single file, sometimes a whole mass of them, the sound thick as rain on a tin roof. Always above, always moving along invisible paths through walls and over streets. Once or twice, I think I hear snatches of voices with them, not English, not German either. Something older, syllables like stones rolling in a river. When we finally get within sight of the bridge, it's well past the time it was supposed to be in our hands. The air around it is a living thing. Smoke, dust, tracer, fire, the occasional stabbing beam of a searchlight. The bridge itself arches over the water, beautiful in a way nothing touched by artillery should be. The far end is swarming with Germans, the near end with us. The middle is a strip of no one's land. We take a building near the approach, high and solid. Shells have already chewed pieces out of it, but it still stands. The radio goes up as high as we can get it. From there, I can see over the rooftops to the river. The first time I see them, they are only shapes. It is full dark. The town is lit by fire and flares. We are under almost constant small arms fire. The sound is a tapestry now. You barely notice the individual threads, unless they're too close. I am at the window, trying to raise anyone beyond Battalion, when the world goes quiet for half a second. Not completely. The guns don't stop. The shouting doesn't end. But under it all, something eases, like the pressure of a hand on your chest has gone. The river noise drops away, and in the gap where it was, a new sound slides in. Boots, not above this time, out over the water. I lean forward, squinting through the smoke. At first I think I'm seeing reflections. Lines of men marching across the span, heads bowed under the weight of kit. But the bridge is broken. A section near the middle has already taken a hit. Girders bent and twisted. The road surface gone. Nothing but open air there. The men do not stop at the gap. They walk out onto nothing, boots striking a surface I cannot see, stepping over 40, 50 feet of empty space like it's painted on. The flare light catches their shapes and slices. Old helmets, old packs, greatcoats, too long for modern fashion. Some with plumes on their hats, some with shkos, some with caps I recognize from German history books, rather than current intelligence. They do not look left or right. They do not flinch when a tracer round passes through one of them and keeps going. They march, column after column, out from the far bank, across the gap, into the smoke on our side. The men around me fall silent. Jesus, Marsh breathes beside me. Jock makes a sign of the cross without thinking. On the far bank, for a moment, the fire slackens. I see German shapes on the embankment, staring as well. One of them lifts a hand halfway, as if to salute the column passing through him. Then the retaliation comes. A shell screams in low, hits one of the already damaged spans, and the blast lights everything white. When my vision clears, the marching men are gone. The smell of hot metal and broken stone hits like a fist. Did you see that? I ask, my voice too loud in my own ears. No, Hargreaves says, eyes fixed on the bridge, jaw clenched. We didn't see anything. We're tired, under fire. We see what we need to see. But later, when we're crammed in a stairwell catching 10 minutes of rest, he sits with his back to the wall, fingers rubbing the dent in his helmet over and over. They were marching at the old pace, he mutters. Slow time, not ours. Not Jerry's either. Like something out of my granddad's stories. The Dutch girl's warning comes back to me then. The one with the scarf and the missing tooth. Do not follow them. That night the footsteps in the house are louder than ever. They tramp the length of the corridor just outside our makeshift HQ, boots slamming so hard the pictures on the walls rattle. The glass in a frame cracks. A spiderweb blooming from the corner. A portrait of some long-dead Dutchman falls face down. No one is in the corridor. I peek out twice, weapon in hand. The strip of red carpet long faded, the walls scuffed. No sign of movement. No dust in the air now. But the sound keeps moving, back and forth, like a drill sergeant putting an invisible unit through its paces. At one point, the footsteps stop outside the door. There is a second of stillness, then 3 sharp stamps, right in place, like emphasis. Art, Marsh whispers from his corner, voice thin. If they come in, I'm shooting. With what? Jock says. We barely hurt the living ones. We don't sleep much after that. The last time I see Hargreaves alive, he is at the window with his binoculars, watching the near approach to the bridge. His face is gray with exhaustion. His stubble looks like charcoal scrubbed on with a rag. Sunray wants a probing attack, he says without looking at me. Test their strength. See where they're weak. Volunteer basis. He snorts lightly. Volunteer. as if any of us are here on holiday. He lowers the glasses, turns. "You've got the set," he says to me. "You stay. Keep us talking to the world, such as it is. Marsh, Jock, you're with me." Jock spits gum into the corner, stands, hefts the Bren. "Aye," he says. "Time we stretched our legs. I should say no. I should tell them to pick someone else. That Jock's St. Christopher has carried him through enough. I don't. My throat is too tight. You come back, I tell them instead, which is the stupidest, weakest thing anyone ever says in war. Plan A," Marsh replies, trying for lightness and almost getting there. "If not, you can have my gum ration." He claps my shoulder. The weight of his hand lingers even after he takes it away. They go out into the stairwell. The sound of their boots on the steps fades quickly under the rest of the noise. I turn back to the radio, swallow, try to sink into the familiar business of channels and calcines. The minutes stretch. Outside, the probing attack turns into something bigger very fast. Rifles crack. The Bren's distinct stutter shouts out, then is drowned in the deeper roar of German MGs. Artillery steps in, heavy, indifferent. "Sunray, this is 2, I call, adjusting the knobs. We're taking heavy fire near the north approach. Requesting the rest is drowned by static. Then the boots start. Not from the ceiling this time, not from the corridor. From mid-air, somewhere between the house and the bridge. I know that sound now better than my own heartbeat. I move to the shattered window, ignoring the shards of glass under my boots, and lean out as far as I dare. They are marching along the air above the street, 20 feet up, heading straight toward the bridge approach where Hargreaves took his volunteers. This column is different again. Dark coats, glinting breastplates on some, tall shakos, old rifles on their shoulders. The flags they carry are tattered and burned, colors I can't place. Patterns from a painting in a museum, rather than a photo in a briefing. Under them, our lads are moving at a crouch from cover to cover, hunched against the fire. Every time one of the Ghost's boots falls, a round strikes somewhere near a living man's feet, like a drumbeat calling shots. They are not firing, they are guiding. Hargreaves is there. I see him for a moment between bursts of smoke, shouting, waving his men to a side street. The Ghost column reaches the intersection ahead of him, wheels without orders, and pivots down the narrower route. Hargreaves follows. I open my mouth to shout. To what? I don't know. He wouldn't hear over this anyway. They pass under the phantom boots, men of our time walking in step with men of some other. When the Ghosts reach the corner, they march straight through the building at the end, vanishing brick by brick. Hargreaves and his lot run around the blind side, into the alley, into cover. Or what they think is cover. The shell lands there 30 seconds later. I feel it through the wall, before I see the light. The concussion punches the air out of my lungs. The world goes white. Something hot and sharp kisses my cheek. For a moment, there is no up, no down, just noise. When it clears, there is a new gap where a house used to be. Smoke boils out of it. Debris falls in a lazy, deadly rain. The Ghosts are gone. We find Hargreaves' body hours later, when the firing slackens enough to move up, or parts of it. The dented helmet with the small white mark is intact. The rest is not. Jock is nearby, what's left of him curled around the brim, hands still locked on it. The St. Christopher medal lies a few feet away, chain snapped. It has a new bend across the middle, as if something heavy and invisible stepped on it. Marsh is nowhere at first. Then we see his hand, or rather his fingers, still clenched around a strip of gum, the teeth marks visible on the edge. I don't pick anything up. The next days bleed together in a smear of fire and smoke and noise. We fall back street by street, house by house, room by room. The Germans bring in tanks. We hear the clank of their tracks on cobbles, the snort of their engines. There is talk of relief, of help coming up from the south. It never quite arrives in time for us. The footsteps never leave. Sometimes they move with us, marching overhead as we withdraw, phantom cover. Sometimes they go the other way, into streets we're abandoning. Once, I see a German patrol freeze at a junction, every man's head turning upward as boots hammer above their helmets, unseen. When the sound passes, 2 of them cross themselves quickly before their sergeant can bark. On the last night, when we pull back to the Osterbeek perimeter, we cross an open patch of ground near the river. The fire is less here, for the moment. The dark is darker. The trees around the houses stand like blackened bones. We move in single file, hunched under our packs. I have the radio still, though its range is less and less useful. The set feels heavier than it did on the drop. My legs shake. Midway across the field, the footsteps come up alongside us. Not above, not ahead, beside, at precise walking pace. I look left, expecting nothing, and almost fall when I actually see them. A single rank of men, no more than 6 feet away, marching in perfect line along a path that isn't there. Their uniforms are a patchwork of centuries. Some in breastplates and helmets with crests. Some in blue coats with white crossbelts. Some in faded field gray with pickelhaubes, spikes catching the moon. Their faces are blurred, not from lack of light, but as if they don't have the right to own features anymore. They don't look at us. Their eyes, where there should be eyes, are fixed on some point ahead, a place we can't see. Their boots strike the air with the same sound as ours on the grass. One of our lads, a boy called Ellis, stumbles, sees them, and stops dead. His mouth opens. A sound starts in his throat. Before he can make it, the nearest ghost turns its head a fraction. Not a full look, just enough to acknowledge him. Its boots never break step. Ellis drops his gaze and moves again. His shoulders are shaking. We reach the tree line. The column of dead keeps going, out into the field, over a ditch, across a fence that isn't there. Don't follow, I tell Ellis quietly. He nods once, quick, not looking at me. We cross the Rhine in the dark days later, in little boats and rubber dinghies, under fire. The withdrawal is called an evacuation. It feels like erasing ourselves. We leave our dead on the far bank. We leave kit, guns, whole piles of gear. We take what we can carry and what won't drag us under. In the boat, water slapping the sides, tracer stitching the surface around us. I hear boots marching above the roar of the river. I look up. The ghost bridge is there, spanning the water, just for a moment. Men marching along it, in their endless loop, from one ruined bank to the other, never reaching anywhere, never entirely fading. For a second, I think I see Hargreaves among them, helmet dented, binoculars at his chest, Marsh chewing nothing, Jock humming without breath. Then the flare dies. The river is only black again. We reach the far side alive. Many don't. There are reports too right after debriefs, questions from men who were never there, in warm rooms with good coffee. Any unusual phenomena? One of them asks, pen hovering. I think of the girl with the scarf and the missing tooth. I think of the old man's cane tapping the air. I think of boots on empty beams, on invisible spans, running where men will die. No, I say, the pen moves on. Years later, in a little semi on an estate, my wife used to complain about the neighbor upstairs. He walks like an elephant, she'd say, banging the ceiling with a broom. All hours, back and forth, back and forth. Why can't he sit down like a civilized person? We lived on the top floor. I would lie awake, listening to the footsteps march exactly from window to door, turn, march back. The rhythm never changed. Not if it was 2 in the morning. Not if it was 4. Not if snow lay thick outside and the pipes were frozen. Sometimes, lying there in the dark, I'd reach out and touch the beret in the drawer. The boots would falter for a second, then pick up again. When my wife died, they stopped for a while. The house was too quiet. I almost missed them. Then the first time the hospital wheeled her empty bed out and left the room to itself, they started again, hard and sharp, shaking dust from the curtain rail. Now, in this care home with its disinfectant smell and plastic mattresses, they're back to their old schedule. 217, window 2 door. Door to window. Halt. Turn. Step out into nothing. Kelly comes in at 6, clattering the trolley, the cheerful mask on. Morning, Mr. Mullen, she sings. How we doing today? She checks my chart, fusses with the oxygen tube, plumps the pillow. Any pain? She asks, the same question every day. In my chest, in my hip, in the part of my brain that still hears men screaming under smoke, there is always pain. I shake my head. She notices the dust on the bedside table, tuts, wipes it with a cloth. We had a bit of a leak last night, she says. Probably why you look so tired. That wind on the roof. Sounds like someone stomping about up there, doesn't it? There's no roof space, I say. My voice comes out harsher than I intend. You told me. Just rafters and tiles. She blinks, then smiles. Well, acoustics are funny in these old places, she answers. Anyway, breakfast soon, porridge and toast. And it's quiz night tonight, don't forget. She wheels the trolley out. The door clicks shut. Silence for a while. The scrape of a chair from another room. The mutter of a TV down the hall. Then, faint at first, the boots again. Just one man to start. Heel toe directly over my head. I close my eyes and see Arnhem's houses, the way they leaned inward over the streets like they were listening. I hear Jock humming. I smell Marsh's gum and the sweet sting of sugar cubes in my breast pocket, never eaten. The boots multiply, a whole section now, a platoon, a company. The ceiling light trembles. I push the drawer open and take out the beret. The cloth is faded. The badge is worn. I put it on with hands that shake, adjust it by feel until it sits right. The boots above pause. Where are you going? I whisper, not sure whether I'm talking to them or to myself. For a second, the answer is a pressure in the air more than words, a direction. Not north, south, east, or west. Not up or down, just on. The first pair steps off. The sound of boots walking over thin air floods the room, louder than anything human. They march from the window to the door and out. Through the corridor, through walls, through patients asleep and nurses on rounds. I hear them crossing streets beyond, climbing the empty air above traffic lights and bus stops, retracing a route laid down long before I was born. I swing my legs over the side of the bed. They don't want me to. The hip protests, hot and sharp, but I do it anyway. Feet on the cold lino. The room sways. I grab the frame with both hands. I stand. The boots are already past the end of the corridor, turning the corner where the fire door signs are. Someone down there mutters in their sleep. A monitor beeps. I shuffle toward the door, one hand dragging the forestand, the other on the wall. My breath rasps. My heart hammers triple time. The beret sits solid on my head, a weight as familiar as the 18 set used to be. In the doorway, I stop. The corridor is empty, but the dust on the strip of gray carpet is lifting in little puffs as the invisible column marches along it. A framed picture of a generic landscape tilts on its nail as they go past. The emergency exit sign flickers once, in time with their step. I follow. Each pace hurts. Each pace is one too many for someone my age. But I keep going, because I've done this route before, in another city, with a rifle in my hands and a radio on my back, and it seems I've been walking it ever since. They lead me past the nurse's station, where a half-drunk cup of tea sits cooling, past the communal lounge, where an old man snores with his mouth open in front of a silent television, past the fire door. The boots do not stop at the fire door. They walk straight up it, onto the air above the stairwell, and continue. I stand there, one hand on the bar, looking up. For a second, just a second, the fluorescents in the ceiling strip out, and I see the ghost of a different structure overlaid on this one. Not plaster and paint, steel and wood, latticed beams and rivets, the shadow lines of a bridge reaching from one side of the corridor to the other. The boots cross it, heads bowed. In the middle, some of them vanish, peeled away like smoke. The ones who remain keep marching. Art. The voice is behind me, under the boots, speaking from the small, striped armchair beside the door. I turn my head slowly. My hip clicks. McBride sits there, as young as the day he slapped the Arnhem dust off his boots outside that first brick house. His helmet is cocked back on his head. His freckles are stark against pale skin. There is a dark, dry line across his throat that wasn't there before, but he doesn't seem to know about it. "You coming?" he asks. "I can't," I tell him. The words scrape my throat. "They need me here. For quiz night." He snorts. The same little half-laugh he used to give when the officer said something stupid. "Same old art," he says. "Always on the bloody radio." He stands, steps forward, and for a moment, his boots are the only ones I hear. "We're not here for you," he says quietly. "We're just doing the route, same as always. But if you hear us, that means you're still on it too, whether you like it or not." He nods once, almost respectfully, then turns and falls into step with the others, marching up where there is nothing. Following the invisible span to somewhere my feet can't reach yet, the fluorescents flicker back. The fire door is just a fire door. My breath rasps loud in my ears. Behind me, Kelly's voice. "Mr. Mullen, what on earth are you doing out of bed? You'll have a fall." Hands on my arm, firm, human, warm. The forestand squeaks. "Come on," she says, turning me gently. "Let's get you back, yeah? You'll miss your porridge." I let her lead me. My legs are jelly, my chest aches. The beret sits crooked now, but I don't fix it. Back in the room, she eases me down onto the mattress, tuts over the state of the sheets, checks the monitors. "You scared me," she says lightly. "Saw you weren't in bed, thought you'd gone AWOL. Just heard something," I mumble. "Probably the pipes," she says. "Honestly, this place, they never fix anything properly." She leaves after a while. The door clicks shut again. The room feels smaller than before. The window shows only gray now, morning crawling in. The boots are faint, far off, somewhere over a river that isn't on any map. I can still catch them if I listen hard enough. A slow, steady march, never ending, never arriving. I touch the badge on my beret, fingers resting there. "If you heard them," I say into the empty room, voice low. "If you heard boots where they had no right to be, stay, sit down, don't follow. Listen if you must, but stay where the floor is solid." The light on the bedside clock changes digits. If you want to hear the stories that don't stop when the lights come back on, the ones where the marching goes on above you long after the film ends, you know where to find me. For the men of 2nd Battalion, the Parachute Regiment, Arnhem, September 1944.